Yarborough. 3 days ago in Daytona Beach, Florida, I set a new world record of 190.706 miles an hour. I'm getting ready for the Firecracker 400, and I'm shooting for my third straight win in this race. And you're going to see it now on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Brought to you by 100% greaseless Vitalis. Now available in a concentrate form, too. Both keep your hair neat without grease. By Schlitz. Taste the golden age of Schlitz, and you'll know why they say, when you're out of Schlitz, you're out of fear. And by STP oil treatment, used by millions of motorists in cars like yours. STP is the racer's edge.
That's Andy Granatelli, driving force behind racing's revolutionary STP turbine cars. He's just challenged undefeated Rocky Marciano to a test of strength.
You're no weakling.
Oh, yeah?
Strong, Andy, but it's going to be all over.
Wow. Now I know why they call you the Rock. This time, I'll choose the weapon. Put her there, pal.
Is Marciano stronger than regular motor oil?
Hang on, Rock.
Nothing to it.
I know. I'll try it with STP oil treatment.
Andy won't want to lose this one. He's president of STP.
Lubricates better than motor oil alone. Best way I know to fight friction and wear. Can't win them all, champ.
Now you know why most race drivers prefer to have STP on their side. Have your gasoline station add STP to your oil and keep your family car, old or new, running smoother, cooler, quieter, longer.
On this 4th of July weekend, 1969, you're about to see this year's running of the Firecracker 400, a major stock car race in Daytona Beach, Florida. Also today, you'll see the International Cliff Diving Championship from Acapulco, Mexico, seen earlier on Wide World. Americans celebrate the 4th of July weekend in many ways, with fireworks, marching bands, and baseball games, and endless beaches. In the state of Florida, specifically, they celebrate it by coming out to the Daytona International Speedway for the annual running of the Firecracker 400. On a very hot, clear summer day this time, they have come by the tens of thousands. Some of them have literally camped out overnight, nailing down choice locations for that moment when the green flag will fall. Also on hand to watch this year's race is Melvin Laird, the Secretary of the Defense. There he is on the right with his back to the camera is Governor Claude Kirk of Florida. They're greeting some 87 Medal of Honor winners who are honored guests here at Daytona this afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Jim McKay speaking to you from Daytona, and this should be a good one. It may well be the fastest automobile race ever conducted. It certainly will be if qualifying speeds hold up, because the favorite, Cale Yarborough, the young man you saw just a minute or two ago, qualified at the fastest speed in history, more than 190 miles an hour. It's going to be quite an afternoon, and working with us, as always, will be my colleague, Christy Konamaki, the editor of National Speed Sport News. For more information, let's go to Chris in the pits.
Drivers getting into their cars. We've had a chat with a few of them about what to expect today. What about driving the track at close to 190 miles an hour, Richard, as compared with 180? Is it different?
Well, it's a whole new ball game, really, because every time you go up 5 or 6 mile an hour, the car handles different. The wind starts acting on the car different. It looks like we'll be running probably 185, 86 mile an hour during the race, compared to maybe a couple mile an hour slower in the spring.
Less than a month ago, Buddy Baker broke his right shoulder in a 180 mile an hour crash on this very track. Buddy, you're driving today. What shape is your shoulder in?
Well, I don't know yet. Time will answer that better, but I feel real good, and if it feels as good as it has in practice, I'm not anticipating any trouble with it.
Car number 17 is driven by the NASCAR champion, David Pearson. He's starting inside in the second row. David, everyone's talking about the heat, but I noticed the winders are going to be up today. Why is that?
Well, Chris, it would cost us about 2 miles an hour if we left the windows out. So we figured we could sweat a little bit and keep the windows in it.
Who do you think your principal competition will be when it comes down to the checker?
Well, it's 6 or 7 cars, but I feel like it'll be a race between Cale and I right now.
What about Leroy? Think he's going to give you a problem?
Well, Leroy's really been running well all the year, and I'm sure he will be a problem, and he won't be the only one that's a problem. There'll be about, I'd say, 15 cars that will be capable of winning this race, and it should be a very competitive race.
This car, number 21, qualified for the pole position at almost 191 miles an hour. We could see the fastest automobile race in the history of the sport. Way back at the end of the 40-car lineup, however, the slowest qualifier at 154 miles an hour. A 36-mile-an-hour speed differential on a 190-mile-an-hour, 2.5-mile track. To the leading drivers, these are going to be like parked cars. Another factor today here at Daytona Beach is the oppressive heat, perhaps the hottest race day we've ever had. The temperature inside of Cale Yarborough's car a little while ago, close to 120 degrees. It's going to be hotter than a firecracker. And we'll be back in a moment for the start of the Firecracker 400.
For the Dodgers, when Jocko Conlon was the plate umpire, and somebody hit a little pop fly, and the catcher ran out, and the ball hit his glove and landed fair, and then went foul. And Jocko Conlon said, foul ball. I charged out naturally, and he ran me out of there. You're not the manager. Get out of here. And I threw a towel against the top of the dugout. And with that, he threw me out of the game. So I charged him again. And, of course, I always like to kick a little of that lime on their pants if I can, because it burns a hole in it. And I kicked lime and dirt all over his pants, so he kicked me right in the shins. So I kicked him. He kicked me. I kicked him once more, and he kicked... And it finally dawned on me, he's got shin guards on, and I don't have any on. I'm getting hurt all the time. How about another Schlitz, fellas?
Schlitz, the beer that's golden aged to mellow every golden drop. It's the reason why, when you're out of Schlitz, you're out of beer.
He had thrown his mask away, chest protector away, and he stood there like John L. Sullivan. And I just walked by him and I said, you're too small to hit anyway, and I just kept walking.
We're just about ready for the start of the Firecracker 400 at the Daytona International Speedway, a field of 40 cars on the track on the final pace lap. In the first row, sitting on the pole, is car number 21, and there he is, Cale Yarborough of Timmonsville, South Carolina. In his 69 Mercury, he qualified at a speed of 190.706 miles per hour. Right next to him is Donnie Allison of Hueytown, Alabama. Donnie in car number 27. In the second row, number 17 is David Pearson of Spartanburg, South Carolina, and on the outside, the familiar number 43 of Richard Petty of Randleman, North Carolina. The third row, number 71, is Bobby Isaac of Catawba, North Carolina, in a Dodge. And next to him in another Dodge, number 3, Charlie Glotzbach of Georgetown, Indiana. Running down the field now in the next row, number 99, Paul Goldsmith of Munster, Indiana. Number 22, Bobby Allison of Hueytown, Alabama. Then we have Leroy Yarborough next to Dave Marcus, Buddy Baker next to Joe Leonard, and the rest of the field, 28 more cars ready to go. There they go. Cale Yarborough into the first turn. Cale Yarborough with the lead, the man who sat on the pole. Yarborough coming out of turn 2. David Pearson right alongside Cale Yarborough now. Pearson going for the lead. David Pearson in the 69 Ford. The first 2 rows on the starting grid were all Ford products, 3 Fords and a Mercury. The next 2 rows were all Dodgers. Here they come nearing the end of the first lap at the Daytona International Speedway. It's going to be a long, hot, grueling afternoon as David Pearson takes the lead. Cale Yarborough second, Donnie Allison is third, Richard Petty is fourth. Our clock running now as we'll get a reading on the second lap. See exactly how fast the speeds are. And now it's Yarborough again with the lead. Pearson is second. Donnie Allison is third. Richard Petty is challenging him right now. Cale Yarborough's intention may be to try to pop away from this field. Get to a point where they can't grasp on him. Then he'll be tough to catch. Clock still running as they near the finish line. 47.8 seconds. That's at a speed of 188 miles an hour. Just under 190 for Cale Yarborough on the second lap of this year's Firecracker 400. Yarborough still the leader. David Pearson second. So it's a Mercury in first place. A Ford in second place. Johnny Allison in another Ford is third. And Richard Petty in another Ford is fourth. Coming out of that steep banking. Remember, it's 31 degrees up there. Cale Yarborough past the finish line again. Pearson is second. Johnny Allison third. And Richard Petty is still fourth. And very soon now, already in the race, imagine this, they're going to start lapping slower cars. Probably in less than another lap. Cale Yarborough on that straightaway is somewhere around 200 miles an hour. There, the first car has already been lapped. This could be dangerous at times. Slower cars, however, probably will try to stay down low. They should, to stay out of the way of the leaders. Cale Yarborough in 21 is still the leader. Johnny Allison is second now. Pearson is third. Bobby Isaac is challenging Richard Petty for fourth, and Isaac in car number 71 has passed Richard Petty and taken over fourth place. Cale Yarborough, the leader, by about 100 yards. Over Donnie Allison now. David Pearson, as we said, is third. And now Bobby Isaac is fourth with Richard Petty fifth.
Jim Yarborough just set a track record of 186.3 for the first 25 miles. And in the pits is car number 23, Wendell Scott, one of the first men out of the race in a 67 Ford.
Cale Yarborough across the line again, in the lead. Johnny Allison second. And now Leroy Yarborough has taken over third position. Car number 98, Leroy Yarborough is third. There you see him in the whiter car out in front. Car number 98, Leroy Yarborough, really making a challenge. Having passed David Pearson in car number 17. There's Leroy.
Buddy Baker seems to be moving up well. His shoulder apparently not giving him any trouble in that number 6 Dodge. He's using his drafting to move up on the leaders, and we should see some interesting brand-to-brand competition here shortly.
Johnny Allison second. Leroy Yarborough is really taking out now after Johnny Allison. Leroy is almost flying around this racetrack at this moment. Out in front, Cale Yarborough may not be conscious of that as yet, but he will be very soon.
Show you. Rydale, where do you think you're going? Right there.
Vitalis has no grease. If we all used even spreading Vitalis, we'd help put an end to the grease ball.
Walk in, Rydale. Play ball.
Sorry, Herman. Vitalis liquid oil concentrate has no grease.
On this 4th of July weekend in 1969 at Daytona Beach, Florida, Cale Yarborough in car number 21 still leads the Firecracker 400 stock car race. However, the news of the moment is that Leroy Yarborough, no relation, in car number 98, has now taken over second position and is moving up on the leader. There you see Cale Yarborough, number 21, and now as we pan back. There's number 98 closing in, driven by Leroy. Leroy has passed about 5 or 6 cars on the last few laps, is setting a tremendous pace right now. Third position is car number 27, driven by Donnie Allison. Remember, he started on the first row with Cale Yarborough. On the outside was number 27. It's a very, very hot day. Attrition might soon set in here on both cars and drivers. Here's the difference between the first 2 cars. It's 2.1 seconds. Not very much. There is Cale. He looks a little low in the turn this time, Chris.
He's not making the speed he has been, Jim. He may be in a little trouble.
Leroy is continuing to close in on him. He'll be in that picture in just a moment here. Leroy could take the lead very soon in this race. There he comes, and there he goes, blasting by Cale Yarborough.
Something's wrong with the number 21 Mercury, Jim, definitely.
Leroy goes very, very high as he passes another car. Remember, the average lap speed somewhere around 186 miles an hour. And Cale Yarborough is going to come into the pit. He's very low as he comes around turn 3 and 4. And this is a very much unscheduled pit stop. The fastest qualifier at a speed of more than 190 miles an hour is having trouble. Leroy Yarborough, the new leader, won the Daytona 500 here earlier this year. He's having a tremendous season. What's going on down in the Cale Yarborough pits, Chris?
He's conversing with Glenn Wood, and they're going to raise the hood. There's an old saying in racing here at Daytona, once you've lifted the hood, you might as well park it. He's got some trouble in the engine room.
Okay, and you can see that the pit crew on our picture there is not hurrying at all. This is going to take a little while as Leroy continues to set the pace in the top half of your screen. There he is. Leroy Yarborough and his Ford Torino Talladega.
Here it is, Jim. It's a broken rocker arm, and that spoils Cale's try for a 3rd straight Firecracker 400 victory. He is out.
It's official now, then. Cale Yarborough out of the race. In second place now, then, we have car number 27. That's Donnie Allison. Chris is down with Cale Yarborough right now. Let's see what the word is from him.
Cale, how was it you pulled away so much so quickly? You seem to have so much more than anyone else.
Well, Chris, this car was running real great. This Mercury was just getting the job done, and Packer pulled away from the pack and had already settled down, try to set a little pace. So usually in a race like this, you can't set a pace, but the way the car was running, I thought maybe I could. It was just working great, but that's just racing.
Well, the number 21 is out, but Cale Yarborough necessarily is not.
And there on the backstretch, Paul Goldsmith in car number 99 is in trouble. That flame underneath the car is just coming from the exhaust pipe. Car is not on fire, but he did lose his right front wheel. The yellow flag is out after Paul Goldsmith hit the wall and came down into the infield. Paul was the only fellow in the race, by the way, with an air conditioner, a cool suit, actually, inside the car. But that's it for him for today. Leader still, Leroy Yarborough, in no trouble because of that crash. And there's another spin. Into the infield goes car number 32. That's Dick Brooks. That lady, looking rather nonchalantly, was kind of close to that one. And now here's Leroy pitting under the yellow. We'll see some pit stops here, Chris, right?
When the yellow comes out here at Daytona, everybody stops. And Junior Johnson crew, Herb Nabb and company, changing the outside tires on the car. Magnificent work in the pits here at Daytona. And just about every one of the contenders will come in to take advantage of what amounts to a free stop. They can get back out on the track without losing a lap. And there's a quick one, under 30 seconds for the Junior Johnson crew, sending leader Leroy Yarborough back on the track. And here's his challenger, Donnie Allison, the Banjo Matthews crew, working on this car. We're going to see a lot of tire changes. It's a very hot day. The track temperature over 137 degrees, scuffing that rubber off at an inordinately high rate here at the Daytona track. Everybody's in the pits now. Have plenty of action down here.
Well, it sure is, and these highly trained pit crews are just amazing to watch. Kind of a competition within a competition.
Well, they've got all the mechanical aids. They've got pneumatic wrenches that spin those 5 lug bolts off. The mechanics come over the wall with the replacement lug nuts in their mouth.
Okay, well, here is a replay. That's the end of the Paul Goldsmith thing, and now we're going to see the spin of Dick Brooks in number 32. There he comes into the infield. And watch this lady. Just as calm, cool, and collected as you could imagine. We'll be back at Daytona in another minute.
DuPont introduces the half-hour car wax. Raleigh Cream Car Wax. So easy to use, you can wax your car in just half an hour. And you get a shine that will last through as many miles of mud and slush and detergent washings as hard-to-use paste waxes. DuPont Raleigh, the half-hour car wax. Test drive it.
Hi, hurdle time, painting fans. They're off. The primer. But look, that's Fresh McNulty skips it. Look at McNulty go now. The primer's in his Lucite house paint, the work skipper. Here's the cleanup and fan. McNulty cleans his brush with soap and water. He's way ahead. He wins. Plans for the future, Fast Brush?
Lucite lasts so long, I just might retire.
Michael Rennie guest stars on The FBI tomorrow night on ABC.
There have been some changes made at the Daytona International Speedway. To be sure, Leroy Yarborough in car number 98 is still the leader in the Firecracker 400. However, second place has been taken over by car number 6. That is Buddy Baker in a 69 Dodge Charger. And he's closing in on Leroy at the moment. Here's the interval between the two cars, 2.5 seconds. That's all there is between Leroy Yarborough and Buddy Baker. In third place now, also moving up, number 71, Bobby Isaac, and in fourth position, number 27, that's Donnie Allison. There is the second place car now, Buddy Baker, who's the fellow who broke his shoulder in tire tests not too long ago and is still recovering from it. Be interesting to see if he can last the course today. There's the leader, Leroy Yarborough. We'll be back for more action at this race. Right now, we're going to move on to the International Cliff Diving Championship at Acapulco, Mexico. Our commentator, Keith Jackson. We'll be returning to Acapulco a little bit later on for the final round of dives in that international competition. Right now, on this very hot 4th of July weekend, 1969, we've returned to the Daytona International Speedway in Florida, where the leader of the Firecracker 400, and he's a comfortable leader at this moment, is still car number 98, that's Leroy Yarborough, in his Ford Torino Talladega. Right now, we'll clock the difference between that car and the second place car, number 6, driven by Buddy Baker of Charlotte, North Carolina. That is a Dodge Charger. As Buddy comes down in that red machine, you see that the difference is still clicking away. It's 18.2 seconds, the lead for Leroy Yarborough. This is Jim McKay reporting, and still with me is my colleague, Chris Economaki.
Jim, the heat and the high speed has taken its toll. More than a dozen cars are out, including Bobby Isaac's Dodge. He's won 9 races on the circuit this year and is one of the top contenders, one of the favorites today. Bobby Johns is out, and visiting Indianapolis driver Joe Leonard got caught in David Pearson's draft earlier and spun out. And Charlie Glotzback is another one of the favorites that's out of the act.
Okay, the average speed of the race to this point is 169.927. Should they continue at that pace, it would be a new record. Into the pits right now comes the second place car for a scheduled pit stop. This is Buddy Baker. Down to you, Chris.
This is the Cotton Owens team, one of the finest crews in the business. They don't like the reputation the Wood brothers have of being the fastest pit crew here at Daytona. They're going to try and take it away from them. They're going to change the outside tires, fill them up with gas, give them a drink of water, and wipe the windshield, all in hopefully less than 20 seconds. Let's see how good they really are.
Again, you see that we're timing this pit stop. There it is, 19.7 seconds, and Buddy Baker goes out on the racetrack again. I gave you the average speed a moment ago. However, they are still turning laps of 185 miles an hour and better. The average speed, of course, brought down considerably by the fact that there had been a couple of yellow flags and pit stops. Number 98, Leroy Yarborough, the leader in the race. And I think Leroy is going to pit. Here he comes. Yarborough into the pits. If you weren't with us earlier, the other Yarborough, who spells his name slightly different, Cale, who had been the pre-race favorite, dropped out with mechanical problems earlier in the race. All right, here's Leroy's stop. Chris?
The Junior Johnson crew's over the wall in record time. Herb Nebb and the boys are changing the outside tires. And the outside tires get changed as a precautionary measure at every pit stop. And the radiator getting brushed out to keep overheating from occurring here on this very hot day. Gas here, and it's a fast one.
It is, in fact, faster than Buddy Baker's, 18.8 seconds. And that will further increase Leroy Yarborough's lead in all probability when all these pit stops have been completed. The current technical leader, however, is this car, number 27, driven by Donnie Allison. He had been third, but as yet, he has not come into the pits, so he's the leader at this moment. Leroy back out on the track, however, and chasing him right now. Coming off that tremendous 31-degree bank here at Daytona. Chris has moved over to talk to another driver who dropped out, Charlie Glotzback.
Charlie Glotzback is out of it. Charlie, why didn't put your car out of the race?
Well, the engine tightened up, so I just shut it off and coasted on in.
What was it like out there in all this heat, Charlie?
Well, Chris, it wasn't too bad in my car. Of course, I didn't get to run too long. I guess if I'd have got to run a little longer, it got pretty hot.
And back out on the race course, Leroy Yarborough still chasing car number 27, Donnie Allison, trying to retake the lead in the race. Should he pass Allison, he'll be the leader, and Allison will still have to make a pit stop sometime soon. There goes Leroy. His car running just tremendously on this hot, hot afternoon in the South. Up onto the banking again. And coming down low now is Leroy Yarborough. And in fact, into the pit for the second time comes Leroy. This is not a scheduled stop. See him waving to the pit crew. Chris, can you get any idea what's the trouble down there?
He's pointing to the right front tire. He apparently feels something's wrong there, and they're going to make another change.
Well, this is really going to cost him time. Leroy Yarborough into the pits for the second time in a couple of laps. This time unscheduled, and they are, in fact, changing that tire again. They had just changed it a minute or two ago. Seconds ticking by. Richard Petty is into the pits in car number 43, and Chris is over there right now.
The oxygen mask is going over his face. He's breathing oxygen during this pit stop. Calling for something. Fueling is done. The right side tires have been changed. And he wants a drink of water. Go about, his eyeglasses in his mouth, a cup of water in one hand, and at full throttle. Back to you, Jim.
All right, Chris, there is, in fact, Richard Petty back on the race course, and into the pits now comes the leader at the moment, Donnie Allison, in car number 27. After the pit stop, he will not be the leader. We're going to have a new leader in the person of Buddy Baker. Leroy Yarborough, who had such a comfortable lead, and there is the new leader, Buddy Baker, going by. Leroy Yarborough has lost his lead with a second unscheduled pit stop. So it's Buddy Baker into first place in the Dodge Charger. 2/3 of the way through the race, and we'll be back in a minute.
Great air show.
Yeah. You did some pretty fair acrobatics yourself today.
Thanks.
Want to ride home?
Sure, let me run in and check on tomorrow's flight schedule.
Okay. You and I better check on a new pipe, too. This one's been smoking hot all day.
Well, maybe it's the tobacco you're using. Here, try mine.
The Walter Raleigh, huh?
Smells grand, packs right, tastes great, can't fight, keeps fresh, so fresh in the pouch.
Well, flying lead plane tomorrow.
Yeah, that's great.
How's your pipe?
You know, that Sir Walter Raleigh really did the trick.
And now, Sir Walter Raleigh's choice blend of Kentucky Burleys comes packed in the special new thermo-sealed pouch to seal in freshness, seal in flavor. Sir Walter Raleigh, the quality pipe tobacco of America.
The Lawrence Welk Show starts its 15th year tonight on ABC.
The leader in the Firecracker 400 at Daytona Beach, Florida, Daytona International Speedway, continues to be Buddy Baker of Charlotte, North Carolina, in this red and yellow car number 6 Dodge Charger. Buddy, one of the biggest drivers on the NASCAR Tour, 6 feet 5 inches tall, 225 pounds, but he's an injured driver today. He broke his shoulder on this track, as we mentioned earlier, not very long ago during tire testing. He's suffering out there, you can be sure, not only from the heat, but from that shoulder injury. In second place at the moment is car number 98, Leroy Yarborough, who had been leading. And in third position, number 27, is Donnie Allison. There's a crash on the track. Oh! This could really be bad. That was number 67 I spotted, Buddy Arrington, who started. Now this is 61 who smashed into him. That's Hoss Ellington. The yellow flag, of course, is out, and still problems for the other cars going by. Ellington is out of the car. He's all right. And it looks like Arrington is okay, too. You'll notice they leave those cars pretty fast because these other machines are still traveling at a high rate of speed, even on the yellow. Here's somebody else in trouble. This is Bobby Allison, number 22. And good that Ellington got out of that car because there you saw it being smashed again. Spinning into the infield as he tried to take evasive action. Number 15 is Dr. Ed Hessard, medical doctor who also races stock cars. The ambulance is going out. At this point, it does not look like they will be very necessary because all the drivers so far are walking away from the cars. Really something, friends. Here it is in slow motion. See if we can analyze it. This is 67, Arrington, that started it.
For one reason or another, he's sideways, Jim, and as he's slowing down, here's the other car hitting him and getting the left side of it peeled right off. Hoss Ellington going right by, ripping the left side off the car. Then he continued on down the track, sliding sideways to a stop. But here's where those safety precautions that NASCAR insists are built into the car really pay off. The sidebars here are what saved this man from injury.
And there we see another car now on the right of your screen getting into trouble. Watch as the smoke starts out from the rear tires of Bobby Allison.
Now watch, he's got all four wheels locked up, Jim, and one tire blows, getting him into the fence, and it spins around. In the meantime, Leroy Yarborough has come through this, miraculously missing these wrecked cars. Now Allison's Dodge is backing into the number 61 car, and here he gives it a solid wrap. Another tough impact. Allison had hit the wall twice, and now a third impact as he bounds into the Ellington car, number 61.
And Hessert began to spin, taking evasive action, and there he is plowing into the infield. A spectacular crash at Daytona.
When four drivers can walk away from 180-mile-an-hour mix-ups like this, it's a great testament to the safety. For the roll bars and the side bars in the cars, the drivers must wear seat belts and shoulder harnesses and wear flame-proof coveralls, and the cars have fuel cells in them, and the tires have inner liners. And it's amazingly safe despite the spectacular nature of the sport.
Again, a look at the remains of Hoss Ellington's car. The fireman's still there.
And they're going to cut away the bumper so that the car can be towed away. The welding torch is being brought into play there so that the track can be cleaned up and the race can continue. Up, and there's the ever-present fireman. He saw a spark, and he wasn't going to let it get any further.
That's not smoke, just the foam to prevent fire. Well, quite an afternoon at the Daytona International Speedway, and that pace car will be out for a good while, it looks like. A quick look forward to next week right now, when we'll be bringing you the swimming and diving meet of the year, the International Invitational from Santa Clara, California. You'll be seeing all the great stars from the Olympic Games. Remember, just, well, not very long ago, Debbie Meyer at Mexico City, winning the 400 meters. She'll be on hand. Other American gold medalists like Sharon Wickman, Jan Henning, Kay Hall, Roland Mathis, the great male swimmer from East Germany, will be on hand. Mark Spitz, the American, and Mike Burton, whom you see here just before the 1,500 meters. And at the Olympic Games, this was Milena Dushkova of Czechoslovakia. She won the gold medal, and she will be at Santa Clara. One of the great high moments of the Mexico City Olympics was the unexpected victory of the hometown boy, Felipe Munoz, in the 200-meter breaststroke. Munoz will be at Santa Clara as we telecast live and in color. That will be next week on Wide World of Sports. Also, we'll have a discussion with Jim Ryan. The world record holder in the mile has been having his problems. His competitive collapse has been one of the sports highlights of this summer. He'll talk about his problems and about his future. All that next week on Wide World.
We're nearing the start of the second round of dives in this second meeting between the Americans and the Mexicans.
What happened when the Americans and the Mexicans met on the jagged cliffs of Acapulco, Mexico? The yellow flag has been out for a long, long time here at the Daytona International Speedway on this 4th of July weekend. The Firecracker 400, but it looks like we may get a start now. Yellow flag after that spectacular crash of a while ago. This is Jim McKay reporting. Chris Economaki still with me, and this should be a race to the wire now, Chris.
21 cars still running, Jim, and it'll be flat out right to the flag because the gas that these cars took on during the yellow flag period is sufficient to carry them all the way.
The pace car is off the track, and we're going to get a restart right now. The green flag is out. There they go. Heading into the first turn now, and it's Buddy Baker and Leroy Yarborough right alongside each other. There, that white car is Leroy Yarborough down low. Buddy Baker in the middle of the track in the red and orange car, number 6, taking the lead. Buddy Baker has the lead again by the narrowest of margins over Leroy Yarborough in car number 98. Richard Petty in 43 is third now. 27, Donnie Allison is fourth. Richard Petty, by the way, has got that new all-time money-winning record. He becomes the all-time leading money winner on super speedways, passing the retired Fred Lorenzen simply by finishing the race today.
Jim, we've got 5 cars, all fine automobiles, in the same lap with one another in this drive for the finish. Anyone can be the winner.
But the leader is just this one. At the moment, the Dodge Charger of Buddy Baker, car number 6.
Here's a chance to look at the rear deck of Leroy Yarborough's car, the third car in your picture. The mechanic, Herb Nabb, in a surprise maneuver, moved the exhaust pipes from under the door, where they usually are, to come out the rear deck. And whether this is adding any speed or not, we do not know, but it might affect the ability of a car to draft Leroy. The hot fumes coming out of those 3.5-inch pipes would tend to overheat the car, and it might well have an effect on the air turbulence, so important to good drafting.
Here's Baker, still the leader. Leroy is closing in again. Leroy, who led so much of this race, trying to get back out in front again. Buddy Baker, drafting right now, it appears on Donnie Allison. Allison, who's in 4th place, is still in the same lap, but just by that much. If he's passed, he will not be in the same lap.
The chief executives, or the top executives of both Ford and Chrysler Corporation are here, Jim, and they are really rooting. Bunky Knudsen, the president of the Ford Motor Company, and Phil Buckminster of Chrysler is here, and are they up on their feet cheering at this point?
Okay, because it is a Dodge out in front, a Ford in 2nd place. Before the race began, Chris chatted with Leroy Yarborough, who had some interesting thoughts on drafting.
The speeds are over 190 for some people, Leroy. Can you slingshot off that 4th corner on the last lap at this kind of a rate?
Not really, Chris. The slingshot off the 4th corner was the thing of a couple years ago. Now the main lap passing is done down the backstretch.
Right now we're in the closing laps of the race. The Firecracker 400 and Leroy Yarborough, the man you just saw, is still edging in on Buddy Baker, waiting for the proper moment to take him. Meanwhile, Baker now going to pass, it appears, car 27, Donnie Allison, the 4th place car. But Leroy is not going to let a car get in between him and Buddy if he can help it. Look at this. Woo! Close in there, Chris?
Very close. You know, Jim, in the Daytona 500 earlier this year, it was these very 2 automobiles, number 6 and number 98, the Dodge and the Ford, that were in the drive to the checkered flag. And here we have almost the same situation again.
However, there was a different driver in number 6 on that occasion in the person of Charlie Glotzback. And there goes Leroy Yarborough past Buddy Baker. He seemed to do it with great ease, as a matter of fact.
He caught the draft down the long back straightaway and whistled right by him. And now we'll see whether Buddy Baker can get back around him. Remember now, the Boss 429 engine in Leroy's car is from 50 to 75 horsepower more stronger than the Hemi engine in the number 6 Dodge.
However, it has appeared that Buddy Baker seems to be handling a little bit better in the corners. That seems to be where he makes up his ground on Leroy. Leroy pulls away from him on the straightaway.
That's right. Leroy's car's set up loose. You notice when he's under pressure, he goes in low, and the car slides sideways right to the top of the track, where Buddy's car is set up tighter and he sticks better and gets through the corner a little bit quicker.
And here they go in the closing laps of the racing at Daytona. We can only imagine how exhausted these men must be at this point in the race. Temperatures of about 140 degrees inside the car, and they've been at it for almost 2.5 hours.
It's a highly competitive race all the way, Jim. We've had 16 changes of the lead in this race today.
And there go the two leaders again. Buddy Baker clinging to the tail of the car of Leroy Yarborough.
A decade ago, the crew chiefs on both these cars would have been out there themselves. Junior Johnson, who is the mastermind of number 98, and Cotton Owens, the number 6. Former drivers are now in the pits chewing their fingernails.
Bet they are. It takes so very little in automobile racing to lose what looks to be a secure lead.
We've got a change on the track this year, Jim. The backstretch, which has always been faced by a steel rail, has been replaced with a cement wall, which has helped the stability of the cars going down the back straightaway because there's no wind.
There's a spin, Chris. It's Richard Petty. Richard Petty, between the third and fourth turns, has spun down into the infield. And it looks like that'll be the end of the afternoon for him. But as we said, he has that new all-time super speedway money-winning record ahead of Fred Lorenzo. Back for the finish in a minute.
Rocky Brushwell is about to paint a 4-inch stripe the length of this towering tower in a race against the clock using DuPont Lucite house paint, the work skipper.
You've done it, Rocky, your new record. How do you feel?
I feel very happy that Lucite let you skip the primer. I'm only good for one coat a day.
DuPont introduces the half-hour car wax. Raleigh Cream Car Wax. So easy to use, you can wax your car in just half an hour. And you get a shine that will last through as many miles of mud and slush and detergent washings as hard-to-use paste waxes. DuPont Raleigh, the half-hour car wax. Test drive it.
The issue is still very much in doubt at Daytona. In the Firecracker 400, Leroy Yarborough leads in car number 98. Buddy Baker is still second in car number 6. The Ford out in front. The Dodge in second place. A crowd of some 53,800 on hand and in the background, although you can't hear them for the roar of the engines very well. They're really carrying on.
Jim, I just checked Junior Johnson's pit sheet, and win, lose, or draw, about $700 worth of Goodyear racing tires has been used by car number 98. 14 tire changes have been made on the car so far in the race today.
Well, that's quite a few. There is a good look at the Leroy Yarborough car. If Leroy wins this race, he will have for the year total earnings somewhere up around $120,000, and there's a long part of this season yet to go. Last year at this time, Cale Yarborough was the leading money winner and had just about $94,000, I think. Let's time a lap, see how fast he is going at this point, as there are now 4 laps left in the race.
If Leroy should win this one, Jim, it'll be the first sweep of all major Daytona events in stock cars. Leroy was the winner of the Permatex 300 and the Daytona 500, and it looks right now as though he's got this Medal of Honor Firecracker 400 pretty much within his grasp.
Okay, anything under 50 seconds is very, very fast on this racetrack. Let's see what this timing is going to be. Remember, they've been going for very close to 400 miles now as he goes very, very high this time. Is that loose handling you were talking about?
That's right, Jim. He's set up loose, and he's really on that throttle now.
Okay, here he comes toward that finish line. There'll be 3 laps left to go. And here is the timing. 49.1. That is over 183 miles an hour still at this point in the race.
He's trying now, Jim, to pull away from Buddy Baker so that Buddy cannot get a late race run at him. He wants to get a big enough lead to where a draft will not do Buddy Baker any good.
No more than 2.5 laps left in the race. Here's Baker. Joey just went out the right side of your screen. And here is Yarborough in the lead.
Donnie Allison and David Pearson in Fords are third and fourth, and Richard Petty has gotten back into the race and is a distant fifth.
There they are, coming out of the fourth turn again. Baker's going to have to do something soon.
Traffic could help him, Jim.
And now there are 2 laps to go. And it's still anybody's race between Leroy Yarborough, number 98, Buddy Baker, number 6. It's North Carolina in the person of Buddy Baker, chasing South Carolina in the person of Leroy Yarborough. And it's a Ford in front of a Dodge. All kinds of battle situations right here. There's Buddy Baker in the Cotton Owens Dodge, number 6. Leroy Yarborough in the Junior Johnson, number 98 Ford. Both cars owned by former fine drivers. Junior Johnson, owner of 98. Cotton Owens, owner of 6. Very soon they'll be getting the white flag. The white flag is out. Baker is closing in. He's gained a little ground. Trying to set up for that slingshot effect coming out of the last turn if he can get close enough. Getting close enough to draft right now. It's going to be a sensational finish. Leroy Yarborough going high, may be able to hold on. Coming out of the final turn. Leroy Yarborough, the leader. He's going to win the Firecracker 400, and there it is. Buddy Baker is second. A tremendous year for Leroy, who has now won the Daytona 500, the Rebel 400, at Darlington, the Charlotte 600, all very big races, and now the Firecracker 400 at the Daytona International. Very popular victory, as now Buddy Baker, the second-place car, moves alongside him on the backstretch. Looks kind of like a dual victory lap here. Although only one, of course, is the winner. It's Leroy Yarborough in the car nearer you. We'll be back in a minute to visit in Victory Lane and have a word with the winner at Daytona.
The tantalizing fragrance of Rapid Shave smells so good, you won't want to shave it off.
Smells so good, you won't want to shave it off. Smells so good, you won't want to shave it off. Smells so good.
Rapid Shave in juicy lime, tingling menthol mint, and the fresh wake-up fragrance of regular.
Smells so good, you won't want to shave it off.
If you're a renter, don't underestimate the value of all your belongings. Suppose you left the price tags on everything you own. Furniture, clothing, appliances. A big investment, right? To protect it, Allstate has insurance specially designed for renters. It's low-cost protection against loss from fire, theft. It even has liability coverage. Allstate Renters Insurance. Talk to the good hands people. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Leroy, hello again. You're going to have to pay rent in here at Victory Lane. You must be happy. It was a great finish, but did you know that Buddy was as close as he was?
Oh, yeah. Buddy ran good all day, and of course, the last part of the race there, I just waited till the cars get strung out and rode him by himself, and I didn't take a chance on passing him in traffic.
Well, the whole philosophy here is be second on the last lap, and he was. What happened to his strategy?
Well, I realized that I could pull far enough ahead of him that there wasn't any way for him to catch me, and I had a little bit more power thanks to this new tunnel port engine we got in this Ford. And so I just sit out there and rode then. I could actually run a little harder when I had to, so as long as I keep him in my mirror, I know he was in good shape.
Well, it's 2 straight for you here at Daytona, Leroy, the 500 in February and the Firecracker now in July, and you broke Cale Yarborough's streak there. What about the race itself? Did you have any close calls during the race today?
Yes, I did. The wreck on the backstretch, I was coming right into it when it all happened, and I had to put on brakes and wait on two cars to actually hit and then spin. I thought when they hit, they would probably separate, and they did, and I went right between them.
Hey, what was all this business about tires late in the race, coming in and changing tires? We thought for a while you were in trouble there.
No, there was so much debris on the racetrack over there till I didn't come in immediately. That's the reason I stayed out 3 or 4 laps till I got a place swept through the middle so we could run our cars without running over glass and things. I figured if I was going to pick any glass up, I'd rather pick it up under the caution flag and let one of these go down, and I had one of my last-minute race tires.
Well, a thinking race driver is Leroy Yarborough, and he has won the Firecracker 400.
One other thing, it seemed like we found a way to break the draft on these cars, and that probably helped me more today than anything else.
Well, tell us about that.
Well, it's just something we did to the race car, and I felt like today, I kind of knew then that it was really working for us.
You got a secret weapon then?
Well, for right now we have.
There you have it from Leroy Yarborough, the winner.
Thank you, Chris. That's the way race drivers are, you know. They want you to know they have a secret, but they don't want you to know what it is. However, conjecture here is that it almost certainly is the moving of the tailpipes on this car from the side to the center, as Chris mentioned earlier. At any rate, that's how they celebrated the 4th of July at Daytona. The executive producer of ABC's Wide World of Sports is Ruth Arledge. Coordinating producer, Jim Spence. The Firecracker 400 was produced by Doug Wilson and directed by Andy Sedaris. Cliff Diving produced and directed by Lou Volpicelli. Our associate director, Lou Frederick. At Daytona Beach, our technical director, Walt Kubelis. For now, this is Jim McKay with Chris Economaki saying so long, reminding you that next Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, you'll see the outstanding swimming and diving meet of the year, the International Invitational Championships, live from Santa Clara, California. And track star Jim Ryan will discuss his career with Howard Cosell. Also, don't forget our live coverage of the British Open Golf Championship next Saturday, beginning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Air travel arrangement for ABC's Wide World of Sports made through United Airlines, who also furnished promotional consideration. Today's program was pre-recorded.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This has been ABC's Wide World of Sports. Brought to you by new Rapid Shave Line, a whole new kick in shaving, by the makers of the world's largest selling shave creams. By DuPont Rally Cream Car Wax, the half-hour car wax. And by Weyerhaeuser, the company that's working on tomorrow's ideas in pulp, paper, packaging, lumber, plywood, and other building materials.
An American diplomat on a top-secret assignment becomes the target of a beautiful foreign agent on the FBI, Sunday night at 8, 7 o'clock Central Time. Then James Stewart and Sandra Dee star in the delightful family comedy, Take Her, She's Mine, on the Sunday night movie, here on ABC.
College football celebrates its centennial year on ABC, the #1 network for sports